Hello friends, how are you all? Trust all over the world. You must be wondering as to what am I doing here. Well, ever since the ages, the man has always been attracted to the rivers, the water. And he has been coming to the rivers, to the lakes for various purposes. Some for meditation, some for praying, some for strolling, some for a picnic. But we, the culinary people, have been coming down to the rivers to fetch water, to cook and drink. And many a times, along with water, stones and sand also became a part and parcel of their package. During the late 80s and till mid 90s, we were using granite slabs, we were using stone slabs, and we used to make food over them because of their earthly flavor. And friends, you must have seen people on roadside carts and roadside small stalls, and even shopkeepers making popcorn and sand, roasting corn, roasting gram. So that is another use of sand in culinary. And along with this, then a lot of examples from history of food. Let's not go very far. Let's go only till Rajasthan, where Jodhpur, for example, you have the fantastic example of dishes being made in terracotta handis, and they were covered, wrapped and buried in sand throughout the day, and in the evening the handis would come out cooked. There are numerous examples of bread being baked over stones. And friends, you must have also seen people making mandi, kapsa, chicken, meat and rice in shape of biryani and so on, and in pits covered with sand and stones thrown along with firewood and coals and lighted and then covered and brought out once they are cooked. Even before that, if you remember, when the Afghans, when the Mughals, when the people from Middle East used to come to India, when they used to be traveling through the desert, or when they were going up the mountains, they always, many a times they were always short on two things. Number one, firewood, and number two, of course, water. And to make sure that the food gets hot and remains hot, the stones were put inside the vessels and the food when they were being cooked, so that the stones would retain the heat. And of course, when water was short and water was little, the stones were again placed among the meat or the vegetables, so that the level of water used to rise and the food used to get cooked. One great use of stone was that when people were traveling through the desert or over the mountains, when they were short of water, they used to take a small pebble and put it inside their mouth, and that small pebble helped produce saliva, and with that saliva, the person did not dehydrate, he did not die of lack of water. So friends, these are some of the examples of use of stone and sand in culinary. Today, as I came down strolling to the river, I recalled a story, and the story was called the stone soup. There are two versions of the story. In one, there are three soldiers, and in the other, there is one soldier. And the three soldiers or the one soldier, tired after fighting a battle, and they come across a village. Too tired to cook, they go around the village asking everybody for something or the other to eat, and nobody obliges. The crafty soldiers think of a plan. So the soldiers tell the villagers, okay fine, don't give us whatever you can spare, so we'll go and make the stone soup. The stone soup? That's what the villagers asked. They said, yes, the stone soup, and you can have a taste of the stone soup also. And they put up their spears in a triangle, hang a cauldron, and take some water, put it into the cauldron, and put some stones into that. And then one of the soldiers cleverly, cunningly, craftily remarked, the soup, if it is added with lentils, some pulses and grams, the soup would become very energetic. It will be full of energy. I wish we had some of it. So the villagers went back and brought in some lentils, some pulses and grams, which are ultimately added to the soup. Some time later, one of the soldiers, smiling and winking at each other, said, I wish we had some carrots, some cucumber and some tomato, and what a flavor they would have added to the soup. So again went, brought in the three, chopped them, and they were added to the soup. So one of the soldiers, when the villagers were not looking at them, very cleverly took out the stones and kept them in a small bag around his waist. And another soldier very nicely remarked that I wish we had some potato, some ginger, some garlic, and some onions, they would have brought what a flavor to the soup. So some of the villagers went back again and brought all of them. And the other villagers chopped them and they were added to the soup. And as the soup was cooking, one of the soldiers remarked that wish we had some cauliflower, some cabbage, capsicum, and my god, what a taste the soup would develop. It would be so tasty. And again some of the villagers went back, brought the three, chopped them, and they were again added to the soup. Now the soup was really hot. And again the soldiers knew something was missing. So very craftily, very cunningly, they remarked, I wish we could add a little bit of salt to it and some green coriander. My god, what a flavor they would add to the soup. So some of the villagers went and brought in some fresh green coriander from their gardens and some salt, which were added to the soup. And slowly some of the villagers came up with an idea. They said, why don't we add some black pepper and some red chilies to it? The flavors will really come out and become very tasty. So very nicely the soldiers jumped up and said, yes, yes, yes. So some of the villagers went and brought in the black pepper and they brought in the red chili powder, and they were also added to the soup. Now the soup was almost done when somebody said, "Wait, I have some basil and some mint leaves in my garden. Will they do?" The soldier said, of course, please get them. They'll make the soup even more flavorsome." And the villagers went and they plucked and brought in and chopped them, and they were added to the soup. A little while later, one of the soldiers looked inside the pot and he brought out the soup and said, "Look, it is so thin. I wish we had some bread. And if we add bread to the soup will become a little thickish." So one of the villagers went, he ran to his house and brought in some bread. And the bread was chopped and added to the soup. Remember, one of the villagers had gotten some lemons. Now, the lemons were sliced and the juice was taken and the juice was also added to the soup. Some bread was kept to be eaten with the soup. So friends, the soup was ready. Everybody tasted the soup. And everybody remarked, "What a beautiful soup, what a flavorsome soup, so tasty, so energetic, so filling, so nutritious." But very nicely, one of the soldiers took out the stones and he showed it to the villagers that it was not the stones, that made the soup so flavorsome? No, it was not the stones. What made the soup so flavorsome was the spirit of sharing food, was the willingness to share food. Exactly like what Guru has said, Vand Shako, share your food. That is what made the soup so tasty. And the second part is teamwork. So if you team up as one, you can make wonders in your food. Your food is going to be very tasty, very flavorsome, very healthy, very nutritious, and everybody will go all over that food. Therefore, it is the spirit of sharing and the spirit of teamwork that the soldiers taught the villagers. And friends, for me, this was the starting point of my taste. Yes, now how do I serve this soup in my restaurants? That is the twist. Come, let me show you my twist. Hot stones are placed inside the soup when they are served. Keep the soup very hot. So friends, how did you like the recipe of the stone soup? Trust you all must have loved it. And do make this recipe, do try this recipe, and do share this recipe with all you know. And till the time we meet again with another video or a recipe, is thanks for watching. Bye, have a nice time, and till then, as I always say, to live healthy, cook healthy, and eat healthy.